Welcome to EPG Pathshala, where subject is Indian culture, course is Museology, and today's module is History of Archaeological Conservation. I am Dr. Indrani Bhattacharya, Department of Museology, University of Calcutta, West Bengal. The objectives of this module are to note the starting point of archaeological conservation, mainly Indian scenario. It also includes the facts and figures of history of archaeological conservation in India and the preservation of few monuments as an example from different corners of India. At first, we should give a short glimpse into the world history of archaeological conservation. We can start it with the Faraday. Michael Faraday studied the deterioration of easel paintings and others in the mid-19th century. The excavation in Pompeii and Herculaneum led the conservators and scientists to the need of development of the techniques how to preserve. In the 18th and 19th century, scientists became interested in problems related to archaeological conservation and its related materials. Archaeologists have found animal bones, potteries, plants, etc. in Pompeii. Objects buried beneath Pompeii were well preserved for almost 2000 years. The lack of air and moisture let objects remained underground with little to no deterioration. That is, all the objects in a physico-chemical equilibrium state. However, one exposed Pompeii has been subjected to both natural and man-made decays, which have already increased and rapidly decreased this excavated site. Withering, erosion, light exposure, weather damage, poor methods of excavation and reconstruction also cause problems in this site. The ancient city was included in the 1996 World Monuments Watch by the World Monuments Fund. In 1996, the organization claimed that Pompeii needed repair and called for the drafting of a general plan of restoration. Now, we should start the Indian scenario. Here, we should go back to the reference of conservation of structures in the early historic period, as evidenced at Junagadh in Gujarat. It was done on structures that were beneficial to the contemporary society. It is the need to preserve monuments for its worth as a monument, and the credit goes to the British rulers. Actually, Indian conservation science started from this time. Archaeological Survey of India is the premier organization for the protection of the cultural heritage of our nation, especially the monuments and heritage sites. And the maintenance of ancient monuments and archaeological sites and remains of national importance is the prime concern of Archaeological Survey of India. Besides these, Archaeological Survey of India regulates all archaeological activities in our country as per the provision of the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1958. The monuments and sites that received nominal funds and attention way back in 19th century was Taj Mahal, one of the great interesting place in India, Tomb at Sikandra, a beautiful architecture in India, Qutub Minar in New Delhi, Shanchi in Madhya Pradesh, and also Mathura. Based on the proposal submitted in 1898, 5 circles were constituted to do the archaeological work in India. These circles were devoted themselves entirely to the method and the processing of the conservation work of these monuments and sites. Here we can cite some representative examples. We should start with Sun Temple, Konark. This magnificent temple, built in 1278 CE by the Ganga king Narasimha, referred to as the Black Pagoda. The ruins of this temple were excavated in the late 19th century, and this is the starting point of conservation and restoration of this monument. And nowadays, after restoration, it is in such a good state that hundreds of tourists visited every year this temple in Odisha. The tower over the Garbhagriha is missing, however, the Jagmohan is intact. Even in this state, it is the awesome example of craftsmanship. It is also said that the temple was not completed as concept because the foundation was not strong enough to bear the weight of the heavy dome. Local belief is that it was constructed entirely. However, its magnetic dome caused ships to crash near the seashore, and that is the reason the dome was removed and destroyed, and that the image of the sun god was taken to Puri. It drew the attention of the government of Odisha for its conservation only in the last part of the 19th century. At first, in 1806, Marine Board requested the Vice President in Council to take measures against the removal of the stones that is the loose stones, and to ascertain the cost for the preservation of the edifice. But the Governor General did not agree to the proposal of conservation due to the involvement of heavy expenditure. However, he also directed the magistrate of Cuttack to prevent removal of stones. Then in 1838, after depredation of Raja of Khurda, the Aesthetic Society of Bengal requested the government to take care of this famous government property. The Deputy Governor of Bengal declined to interfere with the temple except in case of spoliation and injury by individuals. The Sun Temple also fully impressed with the necessity in February 901 T. Block, the Archaeological Surveyor of the Bengal Circle, submitted a note to the Bengal suggesting the unearthing of the buried portion of the temple compound, the reflecting of the broken moldings on the walls of the porch, and the preservation of the portions standing in a dangerous position. The government of Bengal accepted the suggestions, and an estimate was also prepared immediately for clearing the sand around the porch and compound wall and excavating rubbish and stones from the basement of the porch. Attempt was also made to save the ruined Mukshala from collapse. In 1905, repair works of Mukshala and Natya Mandir was completed at last. In 1881, the Bengal government instructed Public Works Department to take the preservation works. Besides jungle clearance, the only work done in 1882 and 83 was the colossal pairs of elephants, horses, and lions on elephants. It is also should be noted that in 1892, the Lieutenant Governor Sir Charles Elliot inclined to grant a sum for the upkeep of the building, for busting the hanging posts and the transportation of the fallen sculptures, including the Navagraha architecture, to the Indian Museum. An attempt was also made to repair the Navagraha architrave to Calcutta, but it was failed. However, it was brought to Calcutta in 1894 and now it was housed in the Indian Museum, Kolkata. In 1893, we noted that due to the objection of the local people, the Bengal government ordered the Public Works Department not to touch it, that is the temple, in future. So, the slab had been left there till the second decade of the 19th century because the government didn't want to disturb the religious belief of the local people. By 1910, the initial task of conservation was completed at a cost of nearly 1 lakh rupees. By 1922, all the major structural repairs, restoration of missing tones, and the points, the open joints were completed. More casuarina trees were planted, sand and fallen stone continued to be removed, lightning conductors were also fixed by these days. While a sculpture said it was also replaced, and important curved pieces are also housed in the site museum at Konark during the later period. In 1950, the government of India appointed a committee of experts to find out appropriate measures for prolonging its life. The recommendations are mainly testing of humidity contents inside the sealed porch of main temple, making the entire temple watertight from outside by grouting, filling in of the joints of the temple, rectification of wrong slopes, and concreting the tops of the irregular masonry. Removal of the sand from the surrounding and other necessary provisions are also taken up for drainage of water. Rebuilding the damaged compound wall to the height of the original coping and the chemical treatment of the surface of the temple are given utmost importance. Planting of a thick belt of casuarina and casuarina trees to produce a screening and shielding to protect the temple from sea wind and salts is also a vital point. Now the central government and state government are taking vigorous steps for preservation of the temple, and also they are continuously trying for the improvement of Konark. Government has taken up the management and for development of Konark. A master plan is being prepared. A marine drive had already been constructed from Konark to Puri, keeping the Blue Sea in one side and casuarina plantation on the other. It is a beautiful natural scene. Now Konark has become a center for national and international tourists also. The next magnificent monument in India is Taj Mahal in Agra, and the conservation history of Taj Mahal is one of the important facets in this subject. Taj Mahal is mainly situated in Agra on the bank of river Jamuna. You already know that monument was constructed by Shah Jahan, and this was completed in 17 years starting from 1631. But we should start that the foundation of Taj was laid in the subsoil at water level, and the foundation structure was constructed with stone masonry in lime mortar, while the superstructure above plinth was constructed by well-baked bricks covered by marble veneers. The whole fabric, together with the four corner menhirs, have been made to rest on a firm bed of masonry, supported on piers sunk at close intervals. The white marble of Taj Mahal was obtained from Makrana, while the red sandstone was transported from Fatehpur Sikri. On account of the decay, the lime concrete below the marble veneers by seepage of water, there was leakage through the joints. The efflorescence and the salt action was also noticed, along with the rusted dowels of iron in this monument. The marble veneers bulged out and the slabs cracked due to the tensile stress that developed during the course of deterioration. The repair work started long back during the time of Aurangzeb. He pointed out certain defects of the dome of Taj. History is, however, silent about the remedial measures taken by the Emperor Aurangzeb. During British rule, the entire surface of Taj was repaired and cleaned, including replacement of missing marble stones and renewal of mosaic with tunis, which faded in course of time. The authorities of ASI appointed an expert committee of 5 members in 1951 to suggest adequate measures. The exteriors of the dome was rendered airtight by replacing the decayed and pulverized lime concrete and covering the surface with the marble stones in hydraulic lime mortar. The joints were filled with special lime mortar, which were prepared with lime, marble dust, mixed with rumi mustagi, that is gum, and batasha and belkeri. The other type of mortar was prepared by 1 part of cement with 4 part of hydraulic lime. Further, to provide extra strength, the damaged part of the structure was repaired with the use of rich lime mortar in a ratio of 1:2. The other type of mortar was prepared by adding 1 part of cement with 4 parts of hydraulic lime. Further, for providing extra strength to the damaged portion of the structure, the lime mortar is used. The decayed concrete formed the top of the dome was removed and it was treated with lime concrete to a depth of 7.5 meters. And over this layer, another layer of cement concrete in the ratio of 1:2:4. The load over the inner dome was thus relieved from a thickness of 36 centimeters tolerance. In Taj Mahal, we also see that the deteriorated pillars and damaged members were replaced in inconspicuous ways, so as not to cause any change that would depreciate the value of the structure. The garden, the beautiful garden, all around the monument was developed. Along with it, the foundations were also restored. The sandstone of the terraces and walkways is particularly weathered where restoration work has been done. But each and every day, this magnificent structure is visited by hundreds and thousands of visitors, and other deteriorating factors deteriorate the structure day by day, and it is a very serious problem to save this structure from further deterioration. Now we come to the other corner of our country where the story of conservation about the Mamallapuram, the Shore Temple, which is a monolithic temple. It is actually situated on the seashore of Mamallapuram. The sanctum of the Shore Temple is facing the sea. Its mandala was oriented to the west, which is ruined except a highly curved entrance gate in situ. It was damaged by tidal remains such as accumulation of sand and other ingredients. In this area, humidity is very high, and also it is damaged by growth of minor vegetation. On account of the thrust exerted by the seawater, certain members were dislocated and the foundation was in unstable state of preservation. Due to the lashing of the seawater, the decorative features of this monument have been damaged. A semicircular wall of stone masonry was raised on the east of the temple to prevent the entry of lashing saline water. All the cryptogamic growth were removed by mechanical methods. Thereafter, the salt action was removed by washing the affected area with soft water periodically. Certain weathered members were strengthened to withstand the load by underpinning process, and the worn-out stones were replaced also. So temple Mamallapuram also stone pitching was done all round the compound, and the slope was reversed in falling gradient from the main temple to drain off the rainwater quickly, and no stagnation of water was allowed near the main foundation. Other important point of restoration is the plantation of casuarina and cashew groves near the monument to create a shield against the actions of attrition and abrasion effects. These trees also protect the temple from severe salt action. Ajanta Caves. It was not discovered until 18th century, but it is also a landmark in the history of Indian archaeological conservation. This famous wall painting are in 30 caves at the site ranging from 1st century BC to 7th century AD. In 1948, an expert committee was constituted to find out the best means to save these caves from further deterioration. The recommendation of this expert committee are provision of surface rain to drain off the rainwater, because this rainwater causes serious damage to the painting of the caves without spilling over the facade of the caves. Grouting of the major and minor cracks of the caves is the next important point of this recommendation. Erection of masonry structure to withstand the excessive unsymmetrical loads and to stop the failure of beams, ceilings, etc. are also an important focal point of the recommendation of the expert committee. The missing, fallen and damaged portion of the caves should be replaced by constructing new supports as per the demands of the sites. The provision of doors and windows with expanded metal melting to arrest further destruction caused by bats, human and other agencies is also a point of discussion. Burning sulfur also drove away bats and other paste from the caves is also an important measure to preserve the caves. All unwanted debris from the inside and the top of the caves was removed, and the ceilings was rendered watertight to avoid seepage of water. A rock-cut drain was excavated over the facade of the cave number 12 and also in the cave number 15, so that a large mass of water should not spill over the facade. In the similar way, a drip course was provided below the mass of the projecting work, just over the facade of caves number 11, 12, 13, 15, 17 and 1 to throw off rainwater. All the cavities in the rocks were made homogeneous by the use of grouting to arrest further decay by percolating water. A stone architecture of the veranda of the cave number 16 was reset by providing pins and clamps. The next important point of the conservation of rock Ajanta Cave is that the homogeneous rock pillars were damaged, decayed or misplaced, which were restored by reinforced cement concrete in imitation of existing rock-cut pillars. These pillars were restored maintaining the same designs, textures and color matching with original ones, but this restoration is done with the help of the recommendation of the international regulation also. The damaged floors were retouched and rendered. The soft and weathered portion were chiseled out. Lateral galleries and heavy molding were reproduced, fashioning them with RCC or plain cement. And the latest work for the maintaining of the originality of the cave. Here we cite the examples of main four monuments or temples from four corners of India, and there are other important monuments, mosques, architectural buildings, etc., which is spread all over India. These are the examples, and though India has large variety of this type of structures, their construction style, their period, their material composition also differ from region to region. Period also differ from different regions of India, and the choice, the religious belief also differ in this country. The deteriorating factors are also varied, but this model only wants to throw a light on some important and basic issues of archaeological conservation in India. At last, I should mention that students may go through the references which are given at the end of the module. They could get help from the web links which are provided in the module, and they may took help from Do You Know or glossaries. And for a deep knowledge or about this topic, they can go through the multiple choice questions at the end. Thank you.